Good morning. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to today's episode of Morning Wealth. Three things that we will talk about. Stay-at-home traders on, ECB BOJ and Earnings Roundup, and green bond sales could reach as much as 450 billion at the end of 2021. The Nasdaq Composite rallied to a record close Thursday as investors showed renewed interest in mega-cap technology companies ahead of their earnings reports in the weeks ahead. The tech-heavy Nasdaq was up 0.5%, propelled higher by shares of Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. The day marked the Nasdaq's third consecutive day of gains and its fourth record close of the year. Gains for the Nasdaq came amid an otherwise bumpy session for US stocks, with both the S&P 500 and Dow Jones Industrial Average swinging between small gains and losses throughout the day. The S&P 500 ultimately eked out a gain to finish at a record high, rising about less than 0.1%. The Dow was lower by 0.1%. Despite a turbulent start to 2021, US stocks have continued to climb, with all three indexes currently up about 1.9% or more year to date. The Nasdaq in particular has posted a strong performance, gaining about 5% for the year, while the Russell 2000, which is the small cap stock index, has risen 8.4%. Better than expected earnings reports so far this season have also buoyed the markets recently. Still, the US economy faces major obstacles, with fresh data on Thursday showing that about 900,000 workers filed for unemployment benefits for the week ended January 16th as companies continue to lay off workers amid a surge in COVID-19 cases. The coronavirus pandemic continues to loom large. In fact, the US recorded about 4,375 deaths for Wednesday, the second highest daily number ever. Analysts say those factors, along with Netflix's strong earnings this week, have renewed investor interest for stay-at-home stocks that were popular for much of 2020. Apple gained about 3.7%, while Amazon added 1.3% as well. In other corporate news, Ford climbed about 6.2%, its highest close since June 2018. Shares of the company have jumped on upbeat analyst outlooks. Ford also holds a stake in electric vehicle startup Rivian Automotive, which raised another 2.65 billion earlier this week. On other macro data, Treasuries dipped, pushing the 10-year yields up 2 basis points to around 1.10. The dollar mostly fell against the G10 basket, though the yen was flat. Oil and gold declined. Asian equity futures are in the red. Quick earnings roundup. Intel gave an upbeat forecast for the current quarter, saying sales will be about 17.5 billion, that tops the 16.2 billion estimate. IBM didn't fare as well, reporting sales of 20.4 billion that missed estimates. It marked the 10th consecutive quarter with no year-on-year increase in revenue. Investors are also paying close attention to corporate guidance in the sectors most affected by the pandemic. Shares of United Airlines fell 5.7% after the airliner said late Wednesday it expected the coronavirus to continue to weigh on travel demand this year. Meanwhile, Baker Hughes beat on revenue and posted an adjusted loss per share. We're looking forward to Reliance Industries, which may post a sequential rebound in third quarter profit as analysts focus on its diversification into businesses like technology and retail. Jio's operating profit probably rose 10%, fueled by a widening subscriber base and growth in average revenue per user, is what's getting reported at Bloomberg. We had the ECB meet yesterday. The European Central Bank left monetary policy unchanged and said should favorable financing conditions be maintained, the PEPP envelope need not be used in full. Bank of Canada's Governor Tiff McCallum also shares a similar view when he reiterated yesterday that if the economy plays out in line or stronger with our outlook, then the economy is not going to need as much as quantitative easing stimulus over time. These slightly less dovish comments helped euro rebound from yesterday's losses and drove the dollar caddy to fresh 2.5-year lows intraday. Outside of the comment on PEPP envelope, there was nothing revealing in the ECB statement or President Lagarde's commentary. She avoided any direct criticism of the currency, saying only that FX appreciation is a drag on inflation. The Bank of Japan left monetary policy unchanged but downgraded their economic assessment. They shaved 2020 GDP forecast slightly but raised their 2021 GDP forecast, attributing the increase to the view that despite high uncertainty, the economy will continue to pick up. Looking ahead on the macro data, we'll be looking out for PMI reports which are scheduled for release from New Zealand, Australia, Eurozone, UK and the US. New Zealand and Australia data should be better, reflecting their ongoing recovery. Some news for credit investors. Credit investors including BlackRock and DoubleLine are moving into leveraged loans and out of corporate bonds to profit from an expected rise in US interest rates. Elsewhere, Citadel Securities is talking to potential lenders about a $2.5 billion loan due in 2028 to refinance debt and raise new funds. Lastly, green bond sales could reach as much as $450 billion at the end of 2021 if the pace of the 3-year average growth continues, driven in particular with the EU Recovery Fund. This is according to Bloomberg Intelligence. Global green stimulus programs could push sales even further this year, despite the timing being unclear. A Biden-led energy policy and China's carbon neutral target may accelerate green issuances from those nations as well. That's the update. Stay safe and healthy. Have a lovely weekend ahead, and I'll speak to you on Monday.